The drop pod cracked open with a hiss. Cass Wilder stepped out into the thick green shadow of Darkin's jungle, boots crunching softly against a carpet of steaming moss and shredded bone. The air was wet with heat, and something screamed far off, sharp, high, and brief. She adjusted the strap on her field pack and tapped her wrist console. It pulsed once. Alive. Her only companion for the trial. No weapons. No armor. Just instincts and a basic AI assistant named Rook. Vital signs normal. Atmospheric readings unstable. Caution advised. Rook chirped, far too cheerful. Cass didn't respond. She wasn't here to chat. Her breath settled into a rhythm as she moved, slow, deliberate. The trees loomed high, twisted into unnatural shapes, their leaves edged like razors. Everything in this jungle had teeth. That's why the Coalition used it for their final trial. If you survived Darkin, you earned your place in the Special Forces. But no human had ever been admitted this early. Not alone. Not without sponsor or escort. She had volunteered. No one stopped her. Not even Earth. Half an hour in, she found the first corpse. A Parak cadet, face half dissolved by venom, slumped against a thorn vine wall. His claws were still extended. Eyes open. Dead, but not from inexperience. She scanned the body quickly. No signs of scavenging. No lingering scent trails. Whatever killed him didn't eat. Just eliminated. She kept moving. Report received. Book chimed. Cause of death, bioacid. Non-native signature. Probability, Cyrex Alpha, 81%. Cass paused mid-step. That couldn't be right. The Cyrex was a myth, an apex-level predator, semi-sentient, used in extreme test conditions for full Coalition veterans. Not trials. It's supposed to be in containment, she whispered. Correction. Tracking data indicates local signature consistent with previous Cyrex encounters. Advise evasive strategy. She blinked at the readout. The numbers weren't just familiar. They were impossible. Is this sanctioned? Insufficient data, Rook replied. Of course. 2 hours in, she found Mektan. The Vekari cadet stumbled out of the undergrowth, his shoulders slashed open, his breathing ragged. Human, he snarled. What did you bring here? Cass said nothing. He towered over her, 8 feet of lean muscle, armored scales running along his arms like living plates. He staggered, then braced against a tree. It doesn't hunt normal, he rasped. Doesn't roar. Doesn't track. It watches. Cass handed him a compression patch. He slapped it away. You don't understand. It looked at me. Like I was a mistake. He pushed past her, dragging his arm. Cass watched him go. He wouldn't last an hour. 30 minutes later she bled. It was minor. A razor vine nicked her right palm. Thin, clean. She wiped it on a leaf and moved on. Then the world went quiet. No birds. No insects. Not even wind. She crouched low, letting her breath slow. Rook. Heartbeat elevated. Life form detected. Vector, 10 meters, northwest. Elevation canopy. She didn't look up. Instead, she unsnapped the emergency flare from her vest and let it fall silently into her hand, not to use, but to make it look like she might. Movement in the treetops. A shadow, long and coiled. It dropped without sound. The Cyrex Alpha landed in front of her. Its claws were like obsidian sabers. Armor like carved stone. Eyes like twin voids. It sniffed once. And froze. Not confusion. Not hesitation. Recognition. It leaned closer, nose nearly brushing the leaf she had bled on. Its chest rose in a deep, slow breath. Then, without a growl, without a threat, it collapsed. Flat. Mouth open. Limbs splayed. It was playing dead. Cass didn't move. Her pulse was steady. Rook's voice whispered. Cyrex vitals detected. Conscious. Feigning death. She stared at the massive creature, her mind racing but face unreadable. Predators don't pretend to be dead. They don't submit. They don't bluff. Unless they think their prey is worse. She backed away slowly. 10 steps. 20. The Cyrex didn't move. When she finally turned her back, every instinct screamed, but she walked anyway. 2 kilometers later, she stopped beneath a twisted arch of root and checked her console. The Cyrex wasn't following. Assessment? She asked. Anomaly. Subject displays fear pheromones in proximity to human cadet. Blood sample interaction suspected. Unknown factor present in subject's avoidance pattern. Translate? It smelled your blood, Brooke said, and decided not to risk the outcome. Cass sat down beneath a cold rock face and stared into the trees. She didn't know what frightened the apex predator of Darkin, but she knew what she'd felt in its gaze. It wasn't curiosity. It was caution. Cass didn't sleep. Not because of fear, but because the jungle did. Since her encounter with the Cyrex, the forest had remained in stillness, too quiet to be real. No clicks, no chirps, no movement above or below. It was as if the entire ecosystem sensed the balance had shifted. She leaned against the root wall, sharpening a branch into a makeshift spear more out of discipline than need. You should rest, Brooke said. I did. With my eyes open. Brooke beeped once, an acknowledgement or concern, hard to tell. Cass wasn't sure if she was comforted or irritated by the AI's ever-neutral tone. Then it pinged. Cadet Mektan, proximity detected. West. 30 meters. Injured. Advancing erratically. She rose in silence, tightened her gloves, and moved toward the sound. Leaves rustled. A hiss. Mektan burst into view, bleeding again, this time from his side. His chest rose and fell in uneven gasps. His eyes locked on hers, wild and panicked. You! He snarled, claw raised. Cass held her ground. He pounced. She sidestepped, twisted, and drove the butt of her spear into his knee. Mektan buckled, roaring in pain. You're the reason it watches us! He spat. The jungle bends around you! She flipped him to the ground with clean efficiency. I'm not the one bleeding in every fight, she said. He thrashed, but she pressed her boot against his shoulder, forcing him to stillness. You've seen it? She asked. He hesitated. Then nodded. It circled us, 3 of us. It took the track first. Fast. No sound. It didn't kill me. It just looked at me and walked away. Cass narrowed her eyes. It's circling. After disabling his comm, she left Mektan under a camouflaged root bed with 2 compression patches and a flask. He cursed as she walked away. But he didn't follow. Her mind whirred. 3 encounters. 3 different cadets. And the Cyrex never killed once. It could have. But didn't. Rook, she asked softly. Show me blood trail logs. Mine and theirs. A projection appeared, thin trails mapped in soft blue over the jungle terrain. Cass's blood trails intersected all 3 encounters. But something else stood out. Highlight environmental reaction to my trail. Rook processed. A new layer emerged. Around her blood marks, the jungle avoided. Creatures moved around her path. Predators changed direction. Trees shifted root positions, marginally, but consistently. Cass exhaled. They're reacting to me. Correct. Hypothesis: olfactory pheromones produced during human injury elicit avoidance behavior in apex-level predators. Correlation found with dormant gene clusters. Designation T' protocol. Her mouth tightened. That wasn't in the medical database. Flashback. She was 13. Her father had just finished another covert deployment. His hands were scarred. One eye half-frosted. There's a reason wolves never hunted your great-grandmother, he once said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Even the dark learned to walk around her. Legacy DNA, Cass whispered. Later that day, she reached an abandoned calm tower from a previous trial cycle. Its interior was overgrown, but the framework held. She climbed to the top, wanted the high ground, not for safety, but to observe. From above, the jungle seemed to breathe. Below, something massive stalked between vines. Not in haste. Just watching. The Cyrex again. But this time, it wasn't alone. 2 Coalition recon drones hovered nearby, silent, cloaked in refractive camo. She tapped Rook. Are we being recorded? Yes. Multiple frequencies. Coalition High Command monitoring sector. Of course they were. She stood tall on the platform, letting them see her. And then she bled. Deliberately. She drew a shallow line across her palm and let the drop fall down to the leaves below. The Cyrex, mid-prowl, halted. It turned, slowly. And backed away. Rook vibrated. Coalition AI logging anomaly, predator behavioral submission. Human vector confirmed. Cass sat down cross-legged. And smiled. 10 minutes passed. Then came the call. A different cadet. A feathered Thallery female, injured, limping, open comms broadcasting. Help! Someone! Please! Cass hesitated. Then jumped. She found the Thallery half covered in vines, a plasma burn on her side. Cass stabilized her, cut through the overgrowth, and began lifting her over one shoulder. Behind her, movement. The Cyrex emerged again. Cass froze. It stood still. Then lowered its body, not like before. Not play dead. But deferential. As if acknowledging her action. She didn't speak. She simply carried the cadet past the beast, locking eyes as she moved. And it let her go. Later, Rook confirmed. Predator submission threshold now at 93%. Subject does not challenge human proximity or authority. Observation, recognition of hierarchy, human placed above. Cass whispered to herself. So it knows. From above, Coalition observers argued. That gene isn't supposed to be active. Earth said they scrubbed all remnants of Shepard protocol tech. This one didn't get the memo. A commander watched silently. Then ordered. Isolate her feed. Do not interfere. Let's see how far the monster bows. By nightfall, she reached the final beacon point. Only 4 cadets left. 3 avoided her gaze. The 4th, Mektan, looked away entirely. The Cyrex circled once. Then vanished. Cass sat beneath the metal spire and whispered. Whatever we were before, whatever they bred into us, it's still in the blood. Rook chimed softly. Correction, now it's awake. Cass stood alone beneath the beacon tower. The structure loomed over her like a rusted finger pointing skyward, humming with faint power as it awaited activation. Her hands, bloodied but steady, hovered over the controls, but she didn't press them yet. The jungle was watching. And so was the Coalition. Evac beacon active. ETA for retrieval, 12 minutes, Rook said. Any signals from the others? Negative. No cadets within 2 kilometers. Predator presence confirmed. Cass didn't flinch. She turned and looked toward the dense tree-line. It was there. The Cyrex Alpha, silent as always, stood between vines like a living god carved from night. Muscles tense but unmoving. Eyes fixed on her, not with hunger, but with deference. It didn't step forward. It bowed. Low. Deliberate. Cass's breath caught. Flashback. Her father again. She was 16. He was bruised and hollow-eyed from an off-record mission on Earth's moon base. Some creatures don't respond to pain. They don't care about strength. But make them believe they've found something older, meaner, and more patient than themselves. They lower their heads and pray it keeps walking. Rook, she said quietly. Send blood work to Coalition Central Archive. Flag at Legacy Protocol activation, unintentional. Warning, this will trigger full genetic disclosure to High Command. Do it anyway. High above, Coalition analysts scrambled. One officer stared at the screen showing Cass and the Cyrex frozen in mutual stillness. It's bowing. Again. This isn't behavior, it's recognition. That thing doesn't submit. It annihilates. A general leaned forward. She's not just surviving. She's imprinting. Another voice, cold, official. Protocol T'. Thought extinct. Confirmed active. Human cadet Cass Wilder is now a Class A psychological deterrent. And then movement. 3 cadets broke from the tree line. One, Zykar, a tall armored insectoid, raised his bladed staff and pointed at Cass. Enough lies, he shouted. You poisoned this trial. You cheated. The others flanked him, uncertain but desperate. Cass didn't reach for a weapon. She bled. She pulled the blade from her belt and reopened the cut across her palm. She let the blood drip, 1 drop, 2, into the soil. Zykar charged. The Cyrex moved faster. It burst through the trees like a fury born from nightmare. It didn't roar. It didn't growl. It existed, and that was enough. But it didn't touch Zykar. It stood between Cass and the attacker. And stared. Zykar froze. The Cyrex tilted its head. A low vibration filled the air. Not sound. Something deeper. Zykar dropped his staff. The other 2 cadets ran. Cass stepped forward. The Cyrex backed away, letting her pass. Later, in the evac shuttle, no one spoke. The few surviving cadets sat away from her, silent. Only Cass remained standing. A coalition officer approached her from the cockpit. He was young, nervous, trying to sound confident. Cadet Wilder, he began. Do you have any idea what you've just done? She turned. Yes, she said. He opened a data pad. Your blood work triggered dormant Earth origin legacy sequences. Do you know what the term Silent Shepherd means? Cass nodded once. My father told me bedtime stories about them. They weren't stories. No, she said. They weren't. In orbit, Admiral Tsan of the Galactic Coalition watched footage of the Cyrex kneeling before Cass Wilder on loop. He turned to his aide. Give me a list of every human with Wilder's genetic markers. The aide hesitated. That may breach your sovereignty protocols. Tsan smiled grimly. We're long past protocol. We just saw what makes Earth dangerous. Cass sat at the edge of the hangar bay, helmet in hand, watching Darkin vanish behind them as the shuttle accelerated toward the cruiser. Rook, she said. Yes, Cadet? Save logs. All of them. Name the file Do Not Hunt. Confirmed. In the darkness of the jungle below, the Cyrex stood alone beneath the beacon tower. It sniffed the earth once. Then turned, and vanished. Final line, narrator voice. Some species fight with claws. Others with tech. But the humans? They mastered something older, something deeper. A blood-borne signal that whispered, Predator, beware. You are not the apex anymore.